Hello, investors, primarily, also homeowners, also title companies, anyone involved in the property purchasing. Fuck that. Okay, Gene Redden, quick cash funding. All right, Gene Redden, quick cash funding here. Our company provides money to investors in order to buy properties and then turn around and sell them. Those investors pay that money back to us plus a premium, a 2% premium. It's very, very competitive. Anyhow, this exposes us to investors all over the country who are needing money in order to purchase properties. And it's the very launching pad for the revolution that I'm starting. This is the beginning of a petition. We are going to have thousands of people get behind us on this revolt to stop the banks from being so greedy, so closed-minded to not help us get foreclosure purchases done. Now, we can help avoid the foreclosure problem in the country if the banks would just loosen up. So let me ask you a couple of questions. Are you an investor who thought you had a deal negotiated with the bank and at the last minute it went away and you weren't able to buy said property? Are you an investor who thought you might have had a deal done by submitting the offering and the contract and then that offer sits on a lower management level of a bank and goes away? Never could get it to the person that makes the decision. That's how easy this thing is. Are you a title company who is in the middle of closing up one of these deals that you could get a transaction fee for, help you stay in business? The more of these that are not done by banks, the fewer deals you have going through your doors. Are you that title company? Listen, this is why we're starting the revolution, because the banks are the crux to us not getting certain deals done, and those certain deals have to do with foreclosures. We have a growing foreclosure problem in America. We also have a growing employment problem in America. Well, let me just go on and tell you, if the banks would loosen up, we would not only avoid more foreclosures. Currently, they're loosening up only to the tune of about 2 out of 10 foreclosure potential deals that are on the table. About 2 out of 10. That means 80% of the time the banks are not willing to sell a property when an investor is there ready to buy it. When an investor buys that property, short of the foreclosure process, the foreclosure is avoided. It is then sold off to either another investor or a cash buyer or someone that has better credit at a great value because of the values being what they are in the country. That's a great business model. If the banks would just sell it to us more than 20% of the time, if the banks would change that number to 50% of the time, I guarantee you that not only the foreclosure rate would be stemmed, but the employment degradation would be stemmed as well. Because I can't buy a property and just turn right around and put it on the market. I've got to replace paint, I've got to replace carpet. Many of the times HVAC units need to be serviced, roofing needs to be done, landscaping, you name it. All I need to do is have the ability to buy another property and I can employ people. How's that? How's that for a great answer to not only our foreclosure problem, but also our employment problem? Investors, are you starving because the banks won't let you do these deals? Title companies, could you not realize a little more income for your business, possibly making it thrive, possibly bringing it out of bankruptcy if they would just do deals with you? You guys are going to go out of business. And by you guys, I mean the banks, if you don't let us help revive your business. Look, man, you keep being greedy with these deals, you are the reason that the foreclosure rate is going up because you won't accept the purchase pre-foreclosure. And don't deny it, because numbers show 80% of the time that's what you're doing. Folks, it's a revolution. It's not necessarily levied against the banks, although it kind of is. But all we want to do is get a share of voice for this foreclosure revolution. We need thousands of people to sign the petition. I have the petition. All right, I'm your revolt leader, and I have the petition. Let's sign it. Let's get it in your hands. Let's sign it. Let's get thousands of people to share this voice and say, we're fed up with the bank's greed. Oh yeah, it's greed. They took our money for bailouts. They're trying to decide, hopefully they decide not to compensate their execs to some great end. And they want to hold on to so much inventory and make us starve when we're waiting to buy properties. Let me tell you what's in it for the banks. The banks have an ever-increasing inventory of properties because of the failing housing market. They're taking back properties at an alarming rate. They own the property. When it goes through foreclosure, the bank just takes it back and they own it. Well, let me tell you something. Banks are in the business of loaning money, not in buying and selling properties. We're in the business of buying and selling properties. So in that vein, we're the bank's partner, yet they don't treat us that way. Oh yeah, we're their partner because we can keep those properties from going on their books. When those properties go on the bank's books, each property is what they call a non-performing asset. Non-performing asset because the banks aren't in the business of buying and selling properties. They're in the business of loaning money. And when they have a non-performing asset on their book, it negatively affects their cash reserves. Now, cash reserves are what makes it possible for a bank to put out another loan. In other words, a bank, 80% of the time, does not agree to sell you a house that's about to go into foreclosure. You may have wrestled with it 2, 3, 4, maybe 6 months. Finally, you don't get the deal done. 80% of the time. When that bank takes that property back in, do you know what happens? Before it affects their cash reserves, the paperwork alone to push all that paperwork through, pay all the people to process it, and bring the property back into ownership by the bank costs tens of thousands of dollars. So not only does the bank have a non-performing asset of X amount, but you got to tack on to X amount what it cost them to bring that property back into their ownership. Price of the house, price of pushing the foreclosure paperwork around, and now you have the holding costs for however many months that bank has to hold on to the property. And let me tell you, they'll hold on to it longer than you, Mr. Investor, because, again, they're not in the business of selling properties. They need investors in order to help sell those properties. So they've taken it back. It's cost them a lot of money. They don't know how long they're going to have to hold on to the property and spend more money. And so now that it's on their books, it's a non-performing asset. And the moment they took it back, their cash reserves went from here to here. They need to have cash reserve here or even here in order to take out new loans, which is the business that they're in. Why on earth would the banks wrestle with us so vehemently over, 80% of the time, when all that does is increase their inventory, increase their non-performing assets, and crush their ability to make new loans? Glenn Beck, you got it on the nose. It's arguing with idiots. And all I'm trying to do is get a share of voice to help me argue with those idiots. We need lobbyists to help us make the banks loosen up. So if you agree with that, if you're that investor, if you're that title company, if you're that homeowner I mentioned earlier, subscribe to this channel on YouTube. Email me, Gene, G-E-N-E, at 877-KWK-KASH.com. I'll send you the petition, you sign it, and we'll get a share of voice. Subscribe to the channel. What we want to do is show them through my videos and share your videos too. Tell me what you think about all this. Email me, share a video, subscribe to the channel, because what we're going to do, I hope in only a couple of weeks, is show that thousands of people agree with me, and we're going to push this sucker uphill and get it on Capitol Hill. Get behind me, guys. If you want to call me, you can do that too at 423-635-5302. And a quick plug, www.kwkashfunding.com. Thank you, and get behind this revolution.